I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Village of Tinley Park Plan Commission to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Michael, can you take a
Yeah, that's right.
roll call?
We need some work on that, too.
Yes. Commissioner Gaskell,
Present.
Commissioner Gatto, Commissioner Hamilton,
Here.
Commissioner Manny,
Present.
Commissioner Merrick,
Here.
Commissioner Montalvo,
Here.
Commissioner Martinez,
Here.
Commissioner Sepisi,
Here.
Chairman Gray.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum present. We'll move on to communications. Staff, is there anything to communicate at this time? Or?
Yes, so I just wanted to note for item 2 on the agenda is the gas and wash site plan architectural approval. We initially advertised that as a public hearing to amend the special use. We realized that the approval that they were given in 2023 only had the condition for the wall, I'll get into it later, but only had the condition for the wall on the site plan. So we don't have to have a public hearing for the special use. We're doing a public meeting for site plan review. So that advertised item won't be heard tonight.
Okay, thanks, Michael. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 3rd, 2025 Plan Commission meeting? I saw a motion, Rich, you raised his hand, Commissioner Montalvo, and then seconded was by,
One of these two?
okay, Steve Stepasy. So Commissioner Stepasy, all those in favor of approving the July 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. We'll move on to item 1. Item 1 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board approve the proposed 2025 downtown streetscape master plan. This was requested to be continued to the August 21st, 2025 meeting. So could I have a motion to move the public hearing for this item to August 21st, 2025?
I make a motion.
There was a tiebreaker. I heard Commissioner Manny, and then seconded by Commissioner Gaskell.
Okay.
All those in favor of moving the public hearing for item 1 to August 21st, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. That will be moved to August 21, 2025. We'll move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is a public meeting to consider recommending that the village board grant gas and, gas and wash at 18301 LaGrange Road, site plan and architectural approval. Consider approving the revised plans relating to retaining wall finish treatments and landscaping enhancements at 18301 LaGrange Road in the B3 General Business and Commercial Zoning District. Okay, this is just a public meeting, so we don't have to open up. So, staff, if you want to present at this time, please do.
Yes. So as you all know, this is the gas and wash 183rd and LaGrange. It got its approvals from you all and from the village board in late 2023. Construction began mid-2024. They opened late last year. And they are currently open with a temporary certificate of occupancy while we wrap up a few outstanding items, one of which being the retaining wall that was constructed. So they're here just for site plan and architectural approval. All of the previous approvals that had been granted are still in effect. They had a special use for a gas station, a special use for a car wash associated with the gas station, a final plat, and then you all gave them the site plan architectural approval. So this is a screen grab from Google Street View while the gas and wash was under construction. This shows the condition of the retaining wall. It more or less looks like this today. You can see that they used a cast concrete construction method, which is why you see those vertical and horizontal lines across each piece of concrete. The previous approval that they were granted was one of the conditions on the site plan approval was that any retaining wall proposed by the petitioner at the final engineering phase of the project must be constructed of materials substantially compatible to the buildings and fueling canopies. That condition was put in to avoid the large blank wall effect that we see today. And the intention was that the the retaining walls be treated with a masonry material, ideally the same brick that was used for the car wash and the convenience store building and fueling canopy columns. So that did not happen. The petitioner and their team is here, and you can ask them more about the events that transpired. But I'll just move on to their proposal now. They are proposing to use a waterproof masonry coating made by Sherwin-Williams that is thicker than paint and would provide a smoother finish and waterproofing and kind of weatherproofing for the wall, so it won't degrade or chip as it would with an untreated finish. Then they're proposing to tint this coating with Sherwin-Williams relaxed khaki. It's like a beige color. I have a material sample here that they provided for us that shows what it looks like in real life. It's kind of hard to tell with the digital image on the screen, but they used that color for some of the detailing accents for the gas station and the car wash. So that color has already been used throughout the site, so it would tie in with the existing site. They're also proposing to increase the amount of landscaping that they have previously provided with the landscape plan you all approved in 2023. They're proposing adding some Techni arborvitae to the basically the ditch between the LaGrange Road right-of-way where it slopes down to the base of the retaining wall. This specific species of evergreen tree does well in wet soils and can be submerged for short durations of time, so there's not the soil condition problem that we might see with other species of trees. This should do relatively well in the soil conditions. We didn't know that, so we asked our landscape architect if that was true, and they said yes. And they came back and proposed a more organic planting design that would also incorporate some red Arctic dogwood. So the petitioner's proposals at the top with just the Techni arborvitae in a straight line, that would soften the appearance of the wall. They grow pretty tall, so it would eventually really screen the wall pretty well from view from the most prominent height of the wall and at the most prominent corner. And then our landscape architect recommended the addition of the Arctic dogwood just because it provides a lot of visual interest in the winter. Gas and Wash has red throughout their branding, so adding some red landscaping might be a nice touch. And then they also said that the Arctic dogwood does really well in wet soil conditions, and that it could provide some additional screening if the arborvitae don't do so well, which does happen from time to time. So these are the two proposals. I will kind of let the petitioner decide if they're okay with our recommendation or if they'd like to move forward with the original proposal that they provided us. You all are obviously welcome to weigh in on that. But yeah, so that's what they're proposing for landscaping to soften the impact of the wall. And that's all. I have the standards on screen.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Does the petitioner want to, or petitioner's team want to approach and add their comments as well.
Sure. I'll fill this out. My name is Mike Hackett. I'm Gas and Wash. Work for Gas and Wash and handle the real estate. First of all, thanks for your time tonight to discuss these issues. The store
sorry,
did
can I-
open in
Can
December.
I interrupt just quickly?
He doesn't
Yeah,
have to
doesn't-
swear in.
Okay,
doesn't
just
need
want
to
to
be
make sure,
sworn.
otherwise you might be wasting your time, so, thanks.
Okay.
Oh, no, I was going to ask if we needed to swear you in, that's all.
If I need what?
If you need to be sworn in.
You
but
don't.
Apparently
Oh,
you
do I
don't
need to
need
be
to be.
sworn in?
Continue,
No,
Mike.
so, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I don't think so. Okay, so we opened December. It was too late at that time to do anything related to the wall. What we did is we went back and we researched a lot of what was there, what the material was. And the material that was approved as part of the process, and Chris is our architect, he can fill you in a little bit more, was more of like a form liner. And we realized then at some point that a lot of times this ends up chipping and flaking at some points of this thing. And so what we did was we went back and we talked to our architects and back to paint companies and found out what type of material would be the best to be aesthetically appealing to the wall. Because as you know, we take a lot of pride in operating the stores and cleanliness and operational, and I think you'll agree that for the most part, they're pretty much spotless. So we went back and we took it back and we decided to have an elastomeric paint, or to petition to have elastomeric paint put on, sort of like it's not quite an epoxy, it's thicker than that, and Chris can fill you in on the details of it. But we think that that would be the most aesthetically appealing with increasing the landscaping along the perimeter of the outside of it, which is what, we talked about earlier. So, Chris, I'll let you talk about.
Sure.
Christian Kolashevsky, WT Group Architects for Gas and Wash. We originally looked at it as was stated, and we were very concerned, and I'm sure you've all seen it when you've driven on the tollways, those sound masonry walls, and they're flaking off because of the freeze and thaw effect. We have over a 502-foot-long wall in the front there, maxing out at 12 feet. We were very concerned about the long-term maintenance of that. And we felt, as you know, from all the gas and wash facilities in your community, as well as in their surrounding communities, Gas and Wash takes care of their facilities very well. So we wanted a material that would last, that could be easily touched up, and also can be changed if we want a change of flavor. I do have a PowerPoint. I can put that on. It's a short little 4-pager if you'd like to see it.
I'd like
But
to see
ba-
it. Yes,
oh, okay.
absolutely, yeah.
If we,
Flash drive.
and all it is that on the PowerPoint, there's a couple renderings just showing the amount of landscaping. And what we wanted to do, quite frankly, is not to draw attention to the retaining wall. We want you to see the landscaping and, quite frankly, our facility behind it. When you saw in plan how dense the trees were and all that, you'll see that in our rendering here, how really dense the landscaping will all be. And so I think the landscaping should be speaking and not the retaining wall. So from those two standpoints, one, the maintenance standpoint, and two, the visual aesthetically pleasing standpoint, we respectfully request to do this. This is at the upper echelon of all the elastomeric type coatings. It's not really a paint, it's a coating. And what we plan on doing is the first roll is a standard roll. The second roll is a very high nap roll, so you get a lot of the texture. So those lines that you saw in the concrete, those will disappear with the texture of the wall. If we could go to the next slide. And this again is just the overall landscaping. You can see the abundance of the trees, and then you can see the evergreens along the wall. You can see the whole site as it's encapsulated. But then the next slide, please. This is a view if you're heading from the south going north on LaGrange. And yes, there is a gas station back there somewhere. But this is all the trees that are there, and you can see that the wall with the color that we're proposing becomes a backdrop. And it really allows the landscaping to pop out and really be aesthetically pleasing from that standpoint. Next slide, please. Same concept, a little bit more like 90 degrees. If you're parked at the light, can see our canopy a little bit there. But again, the variety of the landscape itself. And then if we can just go, the final slide again, this is just the, showing the length of that wall, 502 feet, 12 foot at the highest part going down. And we really feel that this product is a better product. It's going to last better, it's going to wear better, but it's also going to function better in becoming that aesthetic backdrop. And that's our entire presentation.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, I do have a question too. So, 2 years ago, when this language, any retaining wall proposed by the petitioner at the final engineering phase of the project must be constructed of materials substantially compatible to the buildings and fueling canopies. What was shown on the architectural plans for the type of wall and then, yeah, just the type of wall?
At that time, we really didn't know if we were going to have a wall. We were going back and forth with your engineer in terms of where the detention pond should be and how high this wall was. So it really wasn't specifically discussed at that point.
Well,
So we didn't have a drawing per se.
Understood, and I understand, like, things are fluid. So as you get more information, I know that in one of the meetings about 2 years ago, it was explicitly stated that we need to be, Gas and Wash needed to be as close to that corner as possible. Otherwise, they'd lose money. So the thing was, the grade was totally disturbed. The grade used to pitch to the north there, not to the south, where the pond is, because water flows downhill due to gravity. And it was explicitly stated that, oh, don't worry about it, we're gonna change the grade, we're gonna take upon that. So I just wanna know the timeline. Once a retaining wall, because they were going to put the gas station as close to that corner as possible, so as not to lose any money, or to make as much money as, how soon after did you have some sort of plans that had a retaining wall that was concrete cantilever cast in place?
I would say probably about 6 months after that.
It's a fair call to say it was at least 6 months.
So six, so you're,
What was happening was the geometry and the actual floodplain that was associated with it, it's not only at the southeast corner of 183rd and LaGrange, it's the northeast corner as well. So we had to do an extensive amount of re-engineering of the property. I mean,
One
what
of the
w-
things, if I can, Mike, just,
Yeah.
one of the things is that what we were doing originally in our design is we're taking water from the north. That's coming underneath 83rd, coming around, and then going to that, that crosses under the IDOT vault there. We were doing that through pipes. Really reduced our wall height and all that. Then it was desired by your outside engineer that we do not do it on pipes, we do it overland, and that's what, because our elevation, right now, you have the road, then you go down, and then you have our wall. What our concept was that we were a little closer to the road thing. We were not down here, we were here. But then they said, no, you can't do it in pipes, we want it overground. So that dropped that, that's what made the wall taller. In regards to the road, the wall has always been the same. But would have been 7 feet as opposed to 12 at the worst. And so, again, that was going back and forth, and I respectfully say this, sir, all this was not in lieu of money. Our route in doing this wall, and you know from Gas and Wash, they have the T-shaped canopy. That adds 6 figures to the project. No one else does that. We do it for the convenience of our customer. So our client is not wary of spending money wisely to enhance the experience. And so this situation from going underground, conveying that water that's not even ours, that's coming from the north, and going under LaGrange via the IDOT viaduct, really, that's what made this wall so big, and that's when we found out that, and that's why there was such a gap from the Plan Commission approval to the actual engineering approval of what happened.
Fair enough. I distinctly remember, and I think it was Tiemann, I think was the last name, the lawyer's name. They mentioned that the closer it is to that corner, and that's why. I had mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a geotech engineer, so any big earthwork jobs, you let the earth tell you where to put stuff, right? If you got a low spot, put your retention pond there. We weren't gonna do that. One of the reasons I bring this up is because we just looked at some hotel, which is next door, and it's got fill piles, spoil piles all over it. And there was some issues with parking that they couldn't do because the grade there is so now anomalous from what was there before. So the thing is, nothing is without consequences. And so I'm just curious, irrespective, they needed that corner. Because they needed that corner, one of the factors, whatever they are, they had to build it up. If they build it up, you do have to have a retaining wall. So I just want to understand the timeline. Who made the decision that it was going to be a concrete cantilever cast-in-place wall, 1.5 years ago?
When we went away from our scheme of the water being conveyed via the pipes, and it had to go above ground, that's when the wall, now at the 12-foot height, had to be a precast concrete structural wall.
Okay,
But I do want to say one thing, just so that everyone else understands here. The road behind us was already in place.
right,
We hit all those grades. We have not raised our northeast corner. We have not raised our southeast, southwest corner. We raised just the northwest
Yeah.
corner.
Right.
And that is really to get the whole site flat. Because with retail fueling, the most important engineering aspect is when you're under the canopy, it's even more important to have that almost as dead flat as you can for filling purposes. And that is extremely important. And that's what drives the engineering of a retail fueling facility design.
okay. But I want to get back to who ultimately made the decision, here's what we're going to go with, the concrete cast in place, and then, and you said it was 1.5 years ago, and then when was Tinley Park, when did they first know that, wait a second, you have a concrete cantilever retaining wall? Because that would not follow under the stipulation, any retaining wall proposed by the petitioner at the final engineering phase must be constructed of material substantially compatible to the buildings and fueling canopies. So I just want to know, 1.5 years ago, it was decided we're doing this. Who decided that? And then when did they inform Tinley, or when was Tinley Park informed? They may not have been informed by somebody from the petitioner's team. They may have discovered it on their own. I don't know, but like when did they find out about the cantilever retaining wall? Because it's in place now. So I'm an engineer, I know, you got gas station, you got underground tanks. You can't take it down now, you really can't. But somewhere in construction, if you put up something that didn't follow the plans, in construction, we've had sites where people have to jackhammer something out. We're past that point. I'm just saying, I want to know the timeline. When was Tinley Park informed that you had a concrete cantilever retaining wall? And was that like transparent? I just want to know, for my own benefit.
Yeah, understood. Let me explain that. I was involved at that point and was brought in to discuss that. Tinley Park was involved in it. They did know, we were involved with it, with the outside engineering firm for Tinley Park, which was Robinson at the time.
Sure.
And we worked with them to adhere to what they requested us to do. It wasn't our decision to do that. I
So,
mean, and so it is extremely costly Matter of fact, from a numbers perspective, it's almost about $800,000 more than we wanted to spend for the wall. It was done because we had to do it because of the engineering that was brought up, as what Chris had said about going over as far, in lieu of going under.
Yeah, so a designed, structurally reinforced concrete retaining wall was on our drawings and was reviewed by your outside engineer.
Okay,
So
by
it-
Robinson, okay.
Okay?
Fair enough. And that was about a year and a half ago then?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it was,
Okay,
the store opened in December of 2024. It was probably began somewhere, what, Chris, about mid-2022?
Yeah, and then actually, I made it
2023.
6 months. We didn't get actual final engineering approval because we were going back with Will County, DOT and all that stuff till another 6 months. So that's why we have such a long time from our original plan commission meeting to the actual permitting, that one whole year of a gap we had.
Right.
And really, as Mike has said, we would have way preferred to have the water that's not ours conveyed via pipes underground and have a 7-foot retaining wall that would have been the landscape step stones.
Right.
That would have been 1/4 of the cost of the wall that we've installed.
right. I understand that. And it would be less, it would be more aesthetically pleasing the less tall it is. 5 feet matters.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Understood.
so I'm going to ask any of the commissioners if they have any comments. Commissioner Manning?
Mike, if you could go back.
Well, it's definitely not aesthetically pleasing at all. I pass that
Yeah.
gas station every day, and it's horrible. But the product that you're looking to utilize, luckily, I do that every day. I'm an architect myself, and I look for products to utilize in whatever project I'm working on. So I looked at the literature, and I called the tech department and Lexon, and showing them a photo of how it looks. Lexon XP, this is what he quoted me. Lexon XP is a high-build waterproof masonry coating, but it's not designed to fill or level rough concrete wall to make it look smooth. So essentially, if this goes forward, usually just change the color, and I know some of that concrete is, grayish, other parts are black. Essentially, you usually just change it, but it'll still look the same. And that's my issue, so, personally, I reject this product that wants to be utilized, because it's not gonna do anything to make it aesthetically pleasing. What should be done is like flat brick or thin brick, cover the wall, how Commissioner Gray stated that was the agreement, the condition. And that's it, it's pretty, it's a sore eye every time I look at it. And we try to make things here in Tinley Park look beautiful, and that sure does not.
Okay, but in light of Gas and Wash, you see all their sites. You see the pride that they take in their sites and the aesthetic emphasis on it with our landscaping that has color and movement throughout the year. And when you see the rendering here and you see the abundance, remember, the landscaping isn't there yet. So of course, the wall's gonna be a sore
Right.
thumb right now. But when the landscaping goes in and this neutral color goes in, and that it is a uniform color, and we will do a high nap on the second roll, so we will get some texture. We're not proposing this to be a flat, smooth wall. We want to texture the wall itself, but we are hoping that, as depicted in this rendering, the landscape is what is accented. And as you look at all the Gas and Wash locations, that's what is accented. Landscaping is
Well,
very
I think you said the
important.
critical word, hoping. My discussion with the rep at the technical department with this product, it's not gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay.
We literally had a discussion with the tech and asked them, told them specifically what we were doing, and this is what they recommend. And we can go back and see if there's a different product, but really, this is what they
Yeah, this is what
recommended
was
from
told
the
us.
maintenance standpoint, the long-term, standing of the wall.
How thick is that? Because like you said, it's thicker than paint, because those lines left from the forms or whatever, the horizontal and the vertical, I mean, that looks pretty,
It is, you know. for
obvious.
this
And
product-
I agree with Commissioner Manning, like, and I've had people, not engineers, not architects, not on a plan commission, bring up that wall. And I do give deference to you guys in that, I do believe Gas and Wash runs a tight ship. You don't have to convince me on that. I've gone to the gas stations, I agree. This is a different animal. This is talking about the wall, which is kind of different than all the other sites. So, and I do concur with Commissioner Manning on that, it's not aesthetic, and if it doesn't cover those like you hope, and I get it, I think the vegetation is a great add to help lessen the impact of that wall. I think that what you guys did there with the overabundance of vegetation is a positive. But to Commissioner Manny's point, if the rep he talked to, maybe you gotta get some clarification on that from the person you talked to. And I heard you said that you don't wanna have pieces falling off and having to maintain this long wall over time. And that's a fair point. So I think that's a fair point on your side. But I also think what Commissioner Manning said is fair too, is, like the carpenters do, measure twice, cut once, right? So just make sure that you cross your T and dot your I on this, because you don't want to come back with a second coating or another product altogether.
Right, just cut out the middleman, then we're done.
Commissioner Merrick,
I'll pass.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Sometimes concrete is, just bare concrete is used for a surface, right? In some instances, that's,
Yeah,
I mean, it's chosen as an architectural style. That wasn't possible in this case. Sometimes you texture it and,
Yeah, this is what we came with the
Yeah.
engineer.
or like even shotcrete, right? Sometimes you see like they
Right.
use that and then they
yeah, I would
texture it.
suggest the shotcrete on there, but,
I was in Colorado. At first blush from a distance, you go, oh, that's part of the mountain, but then you could see it's a material. This is probably not the solution, but I know even painting a pattern on concrete, like there's a little knee wall by the egg place, Egg and I think, off of Oak Park there. From a distance, it fools me. I come up, I'm like, oh, it's just painted concrete. There's just a pattern. But anything is better than nothing. Commissioner Gaskell.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Sepisi.
I drive by this place a lot too, and I gotta say that the concrete with the vertical lines and stuff is unsightly. But what I'm looking at in your proposal is that you're creating with this covering, this coating, you're creating a green screen. And you're going to actually be adding the landscaping in to cover said screen or to break it up. And I don't have a problem with that
Okay.
at all.
Commissioner Martinez.
Just pretty much echoing, this is not really an ideal situation for the village, and I'm pretty sure you guys didn't imagine this happening either. But I don't think that, while I hear you guys about engineering, I think that might be a little bit of a scapegoat right now, because I don't think the engineer would have, I get the engineer might have said if it's a shorter wall, fine, landscape block, but taller, don't put landscape block. But I don't think they had any decision-making in putting in a form liner to make that concrete have a little bit more of some sort of architectural finish. And that is one of our standards for approving architectural plans, is to have architectural finishes on concrete. And that wasn't done. So not only are you not abiding by the condition of approval, which is approval of the entire project. So if we didn't put this condition, we wouldn't have approved the project. But it also doesn't comply with our standards for, what we wanna see with the architecture. It looks like there was probably a lot of missed opportunities in figuring out and planning better how this could look. And then landscaping doesn't really do any sort of, screening in the present day. So while I know the landscaping's not in, it's not gonna look mature, for a long while. And from these renderings, you could still see the wall, with no architectural finishes. And I agree with Commissioner Manny, coating this wall is probably not the best idea. And thin brick or some sort of veneer, something that shows that you're trying to match the brick is kind of what we're trying to get at.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Montalvo?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Well, I have one
Sure.
question for staff. Was there any conversation before the TCO was granted regarding the retaining wall?
Yes. It has been pretty openly discussed, anytime there's been interfacing between the Gas and Wash team, WT, and the village. It was for this project, they wanted to move ahead with the grading before they had the building plans done. So they requested a mass grading permit, which we approved with a condition on it about this wall and it being the material chosen for the wall. Let me read it.
Now, mind you, when we issued that mass grading permit, mass grading is exactly that, it's grading. It is not the erection of any sort of structures or walls. It's basically just to move dirt around to create a form pad, not necessarily this retaining wall. So when we were doing these concrete inspections, which were probably at least 10 inspections just for the rebar on that wall, the grading on the outside was nothing but formwork, excavation. So where the final grade was gonna go, we weren't determined on that yet.
So
So-
my point is, was it discussed like, okay, once is the concrete set, it has to be then clad?
When I issued the TCO, that was one of my conditions, is that there's got to be a finished masonry material on that wall.
Okay.
So the discussion was like a thin brick,
Mhm.
which we were pressing for, with a stainless steel screed that would match the contour,
Mhm.
step it accordingly, which can be done, but their cost was very concerned about that, as that wall
That's
is,
the cost of doing business, you know?
yeah.
So, then
we-
my point is, the petitioner is accountable. Plain and simple. Bill and finish it was approved under the conditions.
And I will echo something Commissioner Martinez said, like about, a finish, in this case masonry, was a condition, and it's a condition of Tinley Park. It was obviously, there was no thought when they pulled those forms off. They let it cure, and there was no attention to some sort of finish. And we just had a petitioner in here a couple weeks back, and holding his, hand to the fire on getting brick and masonry on his building. So, same area, next door neighbors, right? So, you have to have consistency, and this isn't a surprise, it was said there. And whether it got lost in the shuffle, looking at that wall, it is very stark. And so, even to the untrained eye, they're like, wow. But you always have whatever the rules of engagement, the code to fall back on. Oh, we gotta do this, and that has to be budgeted, and so on and so forth. I do agree with Commissioner Manny, that's the cost of doing business, knowing what it costs X amount of dollars. And if there's too much money to be put in, and it's not feasible, then there's the do-nothing alternative, right? You don't build there, but I do think it's, it should have had that on there, but that shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's 2025, so we have to move forward. Any other comments? Okay. So, Michael, do we need to have somebody read this motion? Or you can go through the standards, or?
No, I'm gonna, we usually don't go through the architectural standards, so I will do that, or I'll skip them now, but I do have them on screen. And then I have one motion to approve the proposal to use the Luxon coating with the khaki paint and try to put some finish on it with the brushes and then change the landscaping. So that's what this motion is intending to reflect.
So I guess I have a question. So we could make this motion and potentially reject it, or we could adjust the motion to something that we would approve?
You could do either.
Okay.
Let's do a straw poll here. Would any on the commission like to suggest an alternative motion than what is shown on the screen here?
No.
I mean, I would not,
Yes.
I would not like to pass this, the product they want to use at all.
So if you were to,
I want them to come with something else.
sure.
Like, hey, this would work. Hey, we're gonna panel it with, some type of, concrete PVC panel that, something to cover it up.
Are you guys amenable to continuing the public hearing? That way we don't have to vote no tonight and you guys can come back with something new?
Yeah,
Not necessarily.
Okay, the
I
wall
mean,
is already up.
aesthetically, it's frustrating, right? You guys understand what happened at the time this happened? It was the engineering had changed several times. It wasn't our fault as it relates to the height of that wall. And
Well, I'm
I
not talking about the
respectfully
height. I
understand
think
where you're at.
the finish you're responsible for, or you're, who you're representing is responsible. I understand, like, engineering will change. I concede that, Mike. But,
What was approved
Yeah.
was in black and white.
this
No matter
language
the-
that I've
No matter the
repeated.
size of the wall,
Okay.
it still had to have the
Okay.
appropriate finish,
Yeah.
right? 5 feet, 7 feet, 12 feet, it had to have an appropriate finish. None of these finishes are appropriate and meet the standards for the community.
Okay.
And we just rejected somebody next door who wanted to build something from the beginning, using substandard stuff. So,
The
I mean, we can
engineer is
just
not-
vote and
Okay.
reject it too.
The engineer is not used as your design consultant for how the wall looks itself as an architectural finish. The engineer does decide where the wall is, if it's needed, and how tall. I don't think that they would tell you to have a wall like this, look like this.
First of all, the product that we're offering is not a low budget product. It's the top of the line of all the elastomerics. The other thing is, if you would like us to add more arborvitaes to cover the wall and the screen of green, we can do that. We've been working with your landscape architect. Every comment that they've made, we've put into our drawings. So in those two options, our latest landscape plan shows their recommended option. If you want to put more landscaping to cover that wall, then we would do that. We are really concerned about the long-term maintenance effect of putting a thin brick on a 500-foot long wall over 500 feet, that's 12 feet at the top parts. It's gonna pop, and it's gonna be a real hassle.
It's like you
And
said,
you know that Gas and Wash does not skimp on costs. So we're not here battling over dollars. This is the most expensive retail petroleum facility built in the whole region. So it's not an issue of money.
Right.
It's an issue of aesthetics. It's an issue of making that station look good and remain looking good in the years to come. So I would ask that you would consider putting more arborvitae, let us work with your landscape architect to fully cover that wall if you want. But to put a thin brick on there is just asking for trouble. I've
Well,
seen it
I'd like to say
myself,
the-
I've
the
seen
main
trash
issue-
enclosures ruined because of the freeze and thaw effect.
The main issue is the community standards. Bottom line.
But I think we are surpassing the community standards with the product that we're offering and the additional landscaping that we're putting on
Well,
here.
again, my conversation with the rep, the technical department says otherwise.
And please give me that gentleman's name and we'll coordinate with our rep
You
and,
could call them yourself.
and we'll, whoever you spoke to, let me know because we have our Sherwin-Williams rep.
I think that's a fair point, if you could share at least whoever you talked to,
Right.
just so you're talking to the same source of information, so that.
We went to several different paint contractors, painting, and this was what was considered the best. And Chris, again, reiterates that point, that it isn't about that type of money or what it is. Len McHenry lives almost a mile from the site, directly west of here. He's at that store 2 to 3 times a day. There's nobody that cares more about making it look the right way than he does. And that's, to him, is personal.
Well, then I think with that statement, he should have said like, whoa, clad that wall.
Yeah, there's no way he likes that wall. I mean, the,
It's an eyesore. I
the
mean,
bigger thing is, it's not a surprise with any retaining wall proposed by the petitioner at the final engineering phase of the project must be constructed of materials substantially compatible to the buildings and fueling canopies. So,
Respectfully with that statement, we are. We are meeting all the colors of our height arches, our CFL canopy, our gasoline canopy, our canopy for the paid canopy at the car wash. We are matching the base of the color of the building.
I don't think that condition says matching the color, right?
no, it
It
says
says
materials.
Materials.
So paint would never be considered a material. It is a coating, but it's not wood, it's not masonry, it's not steel, right? It's not a material. So I'm in agreement with Commissioner Martinez on that.
And for the maintenance point that you're bringing up, what's the years that you're looking at for this coating versus what we're suggesting?
Well, for this, I mean, we would probably be painting this wall about every 6 years, roughly, depending on, more so not the weathering, but any of the arborvitae staining and stuff like that. In regards to the thin brick, you can see on the toll roads, it just disintegrates.
Yeah,
That's why toll roads get away with
I
it,
agree with that.
getting out of it.
It just disintegrates, it looks
I've never
horrible.
seen that.
But I don't think, yeah, you'll have it on like I-80 where you got like massive, trucks going by at like 80 miles an hour, right? So, and I know they whiz by on LaGrange, but this is,
It's 294 is the same thing.
yeah,
Up and down there every single day, and there's pieces that fall
yeah.
off.
But I'm saying is
Sections same.
LaGrange, the same as 294 traffic and the types of, I don't know if it's that, if it's the same effect, whatever that wind scouring suction
I
from.
don't think it's the traffic that affects it so much as the weather.
I do agree with that.
You got
I
the
do agree
winter
with
thaw.
freeze thaw. I understand water expands 9% of
You
its
put any
volume.
type of tile, whether it be brick or anything else on a surface,
But-
it's gonna heave.
If you get water in there, it won't heat. Water has unique hydrogen bonding. So if you throw a can of Pepsi in the freezer and forget about it, in the old days, it would burst because it expands 9% of its volumes. Nothing else in nature does it. Everything else in nature, when it freezes, shrinks. Unique hydrogen bonding. So the thing is, as long as you're able to keep water out and off, it should work the way it should, is supposed to. But you're right, we're not in, California or Florida, yes.
Well, I think going back to what the commissioner's saying about the highways is that if you get a lot of heavy traffic and a lot of bouncing vibration on that wall with the thin brick, and also the,
I don't think that's the real problem.
Oh, I mean,
To some effect, yeah, it would creative out of it, but the way it's coming off the wall, I don't think that's the vibration, I think that's.
Like,
Well, the salts also, you see him salt that road, and it's right up on the road, the salt has a corrosive.
yeah, anything
to the
that
border, the thin-
degrades, so like, pavement wouldn't heave if you didn't get cracks in the pavement. Once you get cracks, water fills, it freezes during the winter, so 9% of its volume expand, thaws, you got a bigger hole, more water gets in, it's a destructive process. So, yeah, I do believe more rugged conditions will help facilitate or quicken deterioration of those walls. So I don't know if that's apples to apples, like LaGrange Road, a 12-foot wall versus something on I-80 or 294. I'm in agreement. But
The other question, if I may, is, you know, what is the maintenance plan that you have to keep this wall clean? That's a light product, that's gonna have mulch, dirt, heavy splash. How are we gonna keep that clean? Because that'll be comments that we receive, is that wall looks terrible.
Right.
The other thing is, I would like to ask, has there been a cost analysis between the thin brick and its product? What's the difference in the cost between the two per square foot?
We can get you that specific information. In regards to this product being the elastomeric net, it's self-cleaning. When it rains on it, it cleans.
Right.
That's what's nice about this product. It's a high-build poly product. Again, it's not a money thing. It's not here for money. You look at that station, if the wall wasn't there, it's a beautiful station. But we are proposing to cover it in total landscaping with a neutral background.
You know, if it's not a money thing, then your
Why are you in business?
proposal is something cheap. You know, build it for what the agreement approved.
And there's just been a lot of speculation, like, have you talked to, I see it on I-80 and I see it on 294, but when you guys talked, or did you talk to anybody that would have like the thin brick and ask them, is this appropriate? One, two, what's the durability like? How, in the winter, in the Midwest here in Illinois, what would be the maintenance issues there? Like, would you
Right,
have to
we
do
did-
dental work, and replace some stuff? Every year, every 2 years, every winter cycle. I can't imagine they had a product that can't even stand one winter cycle. I don't think a lot of
Where's it-
people would be doing that. But,
We-
did you guys have any conversation with any?
Yes, we did. We've had conversations with numerous, our construction, director of construction has. And during the thaw and the warmth and the cold and the freezes, it pops. And then that's what the problem with the brick, the thin brick is. It pops, especially given the, what the locational proximity to the expressway with the snow and the amount of snow that's going to be pushed over the side coming off LaGrange Road. So the freeze and the thaws will cause it to deteriorate much quicker than what.
What did they say was typically the expectancy on something like that before you have to do some sort of maintenance? Or did they suggest there's a routine maintenance plan, just like Mike was saying about the?
I don't know specifically that we recommended a routine maintenance plan. I think they didn't think that it would hold very well, given the conditions of where it's at.
Okay.
And that the better option was for us to go down that path of looking at something that was self-cleaning. And the cleaning aspect of it for us isn't the issue. There's crews that are at all different stores at all different times. Cleaners at night. They come out, they, power wash everything, clean everything, and everything like that. That's not a real issue to us. And the landscaping that was approved by IDOT. And we went back to the village and said, hey, what would you guys want to see and what would you expect us to see? And that's where we went back a couple times to upgrade, to change the landscaping of what you guys would see, or would accept.
And again, we'll work, if you want more, we'll put it in there. Again, we're trying to show that we want something aesthetically pleasing, but that is also helpful in terms of the maintenance and the longevity of the project.
Well, is there any other comments from the
I have a
commissioners?
question about.
Sure, go ahead. Commissioner Hamilton?
The coating, can something be done with a pattern? To make a pattern with the coating, maybe different colors of it? Make something that's of interest and acceptable?
We can look at that. I haven't
Yeah,
looked at that.
I can look at that, and maybe make it look like blocks. something
Yeah,
like
some,
that.
It can trick the eye, like I said about that one block wall on Oak Park. I think that, if it hides, but, again, the crux of this was, and it says here in the staff report, the intention of that condition that was stated is to require that it be constructed or clad in the same type of brick material. So that would, even though it may alleviate some aesthetic issues, the heart of it was that it's still not, in line with that condition.
but if I understand the petitioners, they're saying that that was a mistake, right? To put thin brick on would be a mistake here.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
think-
I know freeze thaw is a real thing, like, one of the things on pavement reports, we always recommend a routine maintenance program where a year later, you check, where's the cracks, where did the scraper from the snow plow? If there's something, you seal those cracks with crack filler, sometimes you'll have seal coating. Why? Because once water gets in there, that's when you're gonna get water expanding, it's 9% of its volume, and then that's where you get pop, right?
Well, it all depends on expertise on the installer. I've used thin bricks on standalone restaurants and never had an issue with things are popping,
Right, if that was the case, I would imagine, and you're an architect, and I'm an engineer, and I agree with Commissioner Martinez, a lot of times, you guys are the guys doing the finishing. I'm not worried about finishing touches, I'm just, wanna make sure it works, right? Factors of safeties and everything. You guys make it look pretty for the public. With that said, if you're using it in the Midwest, here, you would imagine you could use it, but I understand, you're near a roadway, there's other circumstances, but, I mean,
You talk about restaurants with the thin brick and stuff like that, that they use it. Go look at the old Granite City over there on 142nd and Grange Road.
but like I said,
All that's coming off all around the base and
but
stuff
like I
because of where
said,
the
the
snow packed
expertise
in there.
of who installs it.
but it's also, there's no tenant there. So it's like, I looked at Durbin's.
No, it was that way when Granite City was there.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I didn't notice that.
And the same with the.
That might have been why they went out of
It's the
business.
same with the Granite City in Naperville. Same thing's happening.
Okay,
It never looked good.
yeah.
So,
But,
I mean, the weather is the main factor, I think, is what we're looking for.
okay, well, we have a motion on here, so unless somebody wants to modify it, I guess we'll read as is and then just go to a vote.
Can we ask you a question on that, just so we're all understanding legalese here? If you guys vote no, what, I mean, can our store keep open? What's the implications here?
Well, this is and the thing is, this is a public meeting,
Yeah.
not a public hearing. Usually, if it was a public hearing,
Right.
even if you get a no vote, you're gonna go to the board, and they'd be looking at it, and they may see something, or you may have new information, or maybe you tweak something that pleases them. You know, but with that said, Michael,
I'm sorry, I thought you were a ruling body in this case.
oh yeah, no,
It's recommended.
we're just recommending, and this is a public,
But for,
Yeah.
for site plan architectural approval, you guys are the final approver. So
Okay.
you are the ruling body.
oh, so we are
for
on this.
Site plan architectural
okay,
approval.
'cause it's
For
not a okay.
public hearing
Hearing,
items,
okay.
you are just a recommending body to the village board. You get the final say on site plan architecture.
Okay,
So if you were to vote this down, this hasn't happened since I've been here, so I don't have everything memorized, but I believe the process is that the petitioner would then appeal to the village board to appeal the decision that you all have made to disapprove the site plan and the proposed changes. And then the village board would be authorized to supersede you, or they would send the petitioner back to you, ideally with a revised proposal, and then you would review that.
I have two questions, sorry. So, our minutes of our discussion, that will also be moved towards that, village board meeting for the appeal, right? Just so that they see the
Yes,
discussion.
yeah, it
and
would
see
be,
the
it would be,
petitioner
I
not
would
really
include
giving
that as an
us-
attachment to say the discussion that happened.
Okay, and then, since it's a condition of approval and they're not following that condition, I guess, does that affect the occupancy?
Yes, so right now, I believe the only outstanding item on the temporary CO that they have is the wall. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct.
So they would not be able to get a permanent certificate of occupancy until this issue is resolved. The current temp CO expires next month sometime.
Yes.
It can be extended, I believe, but that's procedurally what would happen.
Thank you.
I have the authority to extend it up to 290-day
Okay.
extensions. This is not a life safety. The Village Utility Park and the way the board thinks is that we don't want to hurt business, so this will be something that will not close them.
Okay.
They will still be able to maintain their business because everything in the life safety of this building, and Gas and Wash did everything we asked them to do within the volume of the building. One of the original things is that they had a backup generator that myself and Fire Marshal Steve Lorenzo deeply discussed, and it was due to unfortunate circumstances that Combat didn't run the power lines to serve them. So once their lines were all up to the point where the property owner was at, the connection, they were dependent on Combat. Myself, I had discussion with Mr. Hackett there many times, and the superintendent, was that gonna get hooked up? The minute they told me it was, 2 hours later, they called me, we're hooked up, the generator was gone within 24 hours. So they do everything very well inside that building. That building is safe, car wash is safe, fuel dispensaries are safe. You had your annual state inspections, there's no life safety items on that building. This is an aesthetic appearance issue that is part of the conditions.
Thank you.
I just, yeah, and I agree, as soon as that was said, nobody wants to shut anybody down, so I'm glad to hear that. But to what you said earlier too, is like, are you sure you don't want to have a motion to continue this public meeting, just to make sure? I'm just saying, you know, we are not here to hurt businesses. I agree with that statement, 100%. So,
Fine, you can put forward a motion to continue it, then we'll revisit
The
it.
project's to be built for city standard, village standards. That's what we're here for.
right. So, I'm gonna just bring this one more time. Do you guys want to just do a vote on here? I don't know what people are gonna vote, so we put this as is, or we put this other motion out there?
I think the petitioner requested a motion to.
Continue?
Continue.
Put forward a motion to continue it.
Okay.
One question though, before we finalize that. The motion says to remove the condition, right? So if you
Right.
don't, if we don't approve that motion,
We'll stay like it is.
the condition is still there.
Yes.
So they still would have to work on it and come up
And
with
come
something
back
that
with
was
something else.
acceptable, right?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be the end of it if we rejected the motion, but we can, either way, it's gonna be the same result.
Right.
We can come back.
Maybe, or maybe it gets
No,
approved.
Right, I mean,
Maybe-
because their
yeah, sorry,
occupancy,
right,
their
because-
permanent
Yeah.
occupancy is based,
The clock is ticking.
the clock is ticking, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they said it ends, but he's gonna, if he had to, he has the power to extend, but he said next month, so tick, 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 right?
What
Well,
happens
that-
if these guys end up in just reading votes here, it looks like a 4-4. What happened?
Well,
I have
that's
a
not an
question.
approval.
Yeah.
4-4 is a tie.
Commissioner
I have a
Montalvo.
question. I worked in precast concrete for a couple years, and trying to modify the look, aesthetics of a retaining wall after the fact is very expensive, and depending on what you're doing, create massive maintenance issues in the future. So knowing that the wall's up, in one sense, my recommendation would be the least cost, least painful way forward is to cover it as much as you can. Which is what I think, that's what the petitioner's trying to accomplish
Right.
here.
That's correct.
Without trying to, because you could put all sorts of, you could put a whole nother brick covering on top, but you could have also done that when you were building. You put that as part of the forms, and you could have done that for a fraction of the cost. But that wasn't a condition during the construction, it's after the fact now. And they've got like a month and a half, maybe, whatever the time is, before this temporary certificate occupancy turns into a pumpkin. So personally, I'm inclined to go with this and kind of say, well, maybe we should be looking at some type of stipulation before they do the construction and getting those approvals after the fact. I think what we've done is we've created ourselves a situation where the petitioner's gonna, in a box, they're gonna spend a lot of money. Nothing says it may look good for 5, 10 years, but I've driven down the tollways and there's retaining, these walls that are up, and some look horrible. I mean, a regular concrete wall would have been preferable to stuff that's collapsing now. That's my 2 cents. I don't, unless somebody else has got some other suggestions, I don't know what other, you could turn it down, but then they're still left with, well, then we.
No,
what do
I
we
mean,
do?
those are fair points. Like I said at the beginning of the meeting, it's up. So it's not like it's going anywhere. But to Commissioner Manny's point where he said he called on that exact product, and they said it won't mask those horizontal and vertical lines.
And the
And,
product's not designed to make it look smooth and, because it's rough. That product, you could prep the wall by making sure there's no grease, whatever, and then you go.
yeah, and,
But, but
and
then to your point, not only you could stick, brick or thin brick, you can make it a rain screen wall where water isn't an issue. Water trickles down behind it, and there's no cracking, popping, whatever, freeze or thaw.
and I mean, yeah.
Another construction, method,
Right.
for this situation. And the gentleman did mention money's no issue, so make it look how it was approved.
Well, and I just want to say about those, you pass by, I don't know, I've never seen guys doing maintenance on those walls. Everything has a distinct design life, just like when those bridges were falling in Minnesota like 15 years ago because nobody inspected them after their 50-year design life. So I don't know, you do see dilapidated walls. I will concede what Commissioner Gaskell said. If you have snow against something, snow melt's gonna have excess moisture, moisture's your condition, and that isn't a low spot. That's where the drainage, I saw the one PVC pipe when I was there a few weeks back. I could see where that at the base of the wall could cause some issues. But I'm not an expert in those panels, and I have doubt because of what Commissioner Manny said about the viability of the thicker than paint coating. So I, in terms of, is that a great catch-all? And yet it will look, I do concede, it will look aesthetically better than nothing, especially than with the vegetation. But it will take longer for that vegetation to get there. So I don't know if it's a home run either way. Yes, yeah.
I don't think anybody said anything, they were gonna try to eliminate those lines, those vertical and horizontal lines.
I thought they
wanted
said
to soften them. No, they didn't say they was gonna eliminate them.
I thought, well, I'll watch the replay when I get home tonight. But
The concept is that the texture would go along with that.
It would
I
accentuate it.
said
It
a
wouldn't
couple of
eliminate it,
times
but it would
that
accentuate
we're not
it.
looking to make a
Right.
perfectly smooth
Right.
wall.
yeah, you're not making it look perfectly smooth, but like, it's pretty stark what you see there. So
Well, I think-
smoothing
I think
that
the
out.
coating would soften that.
Oh, I 100% agree.
And
Any
then
coating
with
would.
Along with
Yeah.
the landscaping stuff, you're never gonna notice all that stuff.
Yeah.
To me, as my discussion is they look the same, but just different color. It'll be khaki color, beige versus grays.
And that could be true. Anybody else with their 2 cents on? Should we just move this to the next meeting then, and perhaps,
Well, let me understand the outcome of what both of the votes were, what would be. If there would be a tie, what would be the next step?
well, it would, I'm assuming it would be the same thing where
I believe it goes to
the
village board.
board would be then the appeal.
It would go to the
'Cause
village board,
A
correct?
tie is just like a loss, as Commissioner Merrick said, I mean, in terms of not passing, right? And we're the final one for this, so if it passed, it passes. If it doesn't, then you have the appeal with the trustees.
Right, so then what you're asking us to do is go back and possibly continue this and see if there's some other option that might be a more viable, acceptable to you guys, or,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, 100%, yeah.
okay. I mean, I honestly don't know what that answer would be. Honestly, I spent a lot of time, a lot of money and effort on that. It's not your problem, it's ours. And we're trying to just address it and bring it down. You know, we want to get the final certificate of occupancy as much as anybody does,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I get it.
Is there anything specific that, if you do vote to continue, is there anything specific that you want to see?
I just want to see what's the viability and durability of the thin brick material.
2 years is what I was just told.
2 years, you were told that, what?
2 years.
And then it
That's
starts,
what I just heard
oh, okay, and then it
about
just.
5 minutes ago
Okay.
from
I-
our construction guy who must be watching this.
I got you, fair enough. So, okay, 2 years, but like, if we can get something in writing, something that says that makes that point, because I do agree, you don't want a dilapidated wall. You don't, I'm a believer in terms of you guys running a tight ship at the
Mhm.
gas and wash. Trust me, you don't have to sell me on that. That's a different issue. So like this, if you can show that that's not really a great viable alternative, or, find something that is a different product that says, no, we're not like the other guys, we are viable, since money's not an object. If there's not one supplier, right? And so, if you're able to do that, have another alternative. I personally would like to have more verification on that, the khaki, and I do agree with Commissioner Manning in that it's still, gonna look the same, but just slightly change the color, right? Just slightly. So, but if you can find, well, that's just my personal opinion on it.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with you.
aesthetics are different, like, right, like, what somebody finds aesthetically pleasing, others may not. But I don't think, as is, we all can agree that it needs some TLC, right? But what that entails is why we're discussing this, but, so does that give you any clarification, Mike? Like, a third alternative, reinforce that the khaki, perhaps, Manny, if you can offline give Chris your contacts with that company
If you
information.
could give it to Michael, and Michael will.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be
That's
great.
fair. And then, if there's longevity problems with face brick, because 500 feet, 12-foot high, and then you got the 7-footer, I mean,
Yeah,
It's a
no,
lot of
I
maintenance if
understand that.
you're-
You know, some of that is part of it's a little bit different than looking at IDOT roads and stuff like that, because when you, when you clear the snow, it's on the existing pavement around the gas wash, around there. It's gotta go somewhere, so it's gonna end up going to the end instead of build up in the pile. Like it always does. You know, we do a pretty good job of getting it off of it and moving it away from everything. But that's what causes some of the moisture to build up when the epoxy deteriorate, when it melts. So, to answer the question, we'll go back and take a look at this thing. We'll come back and, ask for a continuance,
okay.
and then we'll see if there's some type of alternative material.
Fair enough, Mike. Okay, so at that time, I'll just entertain a motion to continue the public meeting. So can I get a motion on the floor to continue the public meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Second, Commissioner Gaskell made the first motion, Commissioner Manning made the second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the motion is carried, the public meeting is continued. We'll see you in,
Okay, 7?
yeah, I believe it's August, it'll be in August. Is-
Okay.
Can you, August
Appreciate it.
7th?
Thank you.
Okay, just get with staff
Yeah, we will.
and,
We'll work with them and talk to them
oh
about it.
yeah, we appreciate your time, gentlemen.
No, Thank you.
Good luck and see you in 2.
Fill this out.
Okay, we'll move on to the good of the order, I believe.
Public comment?
Oh, no, sorry, public comments, taking comments from the public. Sure, do you have any?
My observation with that wall is, it is kind of hideous. So any improvements would be well received.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
And no offense to you guys, but.
Just remember, there's no landscaping out there, and we'll put it up in.
Okay, well, now we'll move on to the good of the order. Is there anything, Michael?
Well, I know the last 2 meetings, there was a lot of requests for status updates on projects, and since Mike is here, I'll hand it over to him to.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure you all heard about Harmony, right?
Oh.
We all heard about Harmony Square. Tomorrow's the big day. We are gonna be doing our second final inspection tomorrow. There's mainly plumbing items, temperatures, faucets and so forth that need to be trimmed out. We're hoping by noon I will be issuing the conditional occupancies for all of those, which is standard practice. I mean, it's almost like an assembly, because there's always something out there that is non-life safety that we say, you know, let's keep the ball going forward. It's gonna be a great event out there. 14 months, 2 weeks and 1 day is how long that project took. I remember the first time I was out there, and it was the same person I dealt with the last day tomorrow. We've been out there, and it's a great project, great teamwork with all of the staff. Pete's is coming close to finalizing. They are getting ready to commission all of the rooftop units and then pour the final pavement on the parking lot. We are good to go there. We had Chick-fil-A is doing quite well with business. My number 1 goal after this will be to focus on MacDuson, to get MacDuson going and back up. There was some material delays out there, so they're gonna get that back squared up, and they're actually thinking about, instead of going with, believe it or not, with prefabricated assembly walls, they're gonna stick frame them. They can keep crews out there working a little bit quicker. So pick up some days on the travel of the prefabricated walls. Adjacent to Harmony, we will be having West Point that is going to be starting construction Monday, right after the block party. They're going to start all of the infrastructure, utility, road work is complete out there, but now they're going to start tapping in those systems. And they're going to start 2 townhouse buildings, one that's 4-unit, one that's 3-unit, on the far north end of the site, and start to progressively work back south. So we'll be looking forward to that project being completed. So that's all the big projects out there, other than the typical residential ones we have out there, but that's what's coming down.
What about Jack in the Box?
Jack in the Box, a good question. I've been asked by my daughter many times, when's that being open for Chick-fil-A? I'm expecting Jack in the Box probably in the first week of August to be open.
Excellent.
Yes.
I gotta say,
I'll tell them you want that open, they might move it up.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, I live right there at the downtown there, and I walked today before the meeting at Harmony Square. It looks fantastic. And, you know, I took one picture and my camera died. But I gotta say, like,
Bodians are from.
having a vision for the village is paramount, right? Paramount. And I have to commend the mayor, the board of trustees, the plan commissioners and staff, the past, present, because to make this a reality, it is gonna be such a fun, unique thing to have in our community, and it's a game changer. I think it's just gonna draw a lot of good things our way. And as you said, more is coming in terms of construction, but wow, what a great hub to have. It was a long time coming, but vision, having a strong vision and making it a reality. Somebody was passing me as I was walking. I said, what do you think of this? And he said, I can't believe it, I'm moving. I'm moving to Orland in a couple days. He goes, I sold at the wrong time. My price is gonna go up if I stay here. So business is picking up, so to speak. I'm very excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, Oak Park is gonna really, take off now. We're hearing some buzz about some projects coming in, and then we got our streetscape that's gonna be coming back shortly with the comp plan. So, yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up over there in Oak Park. and
Ribbon cutting is tomorrow, 5:30.
I will have to confirm that. I was told to get there at 6. My understanding is that the ribbon cutting was at 7, Mike, and then 7:30 the Bodines come on? Something like that.
I'm not sure.
So, yeah.
I'm surprised they're not doing the ribbon cutting for when WGN's there at 9.
Yeah, in the morning, yeah, but
They were supposed to have a presentation at that time,
Hmm.
when Anna Vella, whatever her name is.
okay. Well, that was good for the good of the order. Yeah, enjoy Harmony Square. And the block party's this weekend too, so.
Yes, it is.
A
Saturday,
lot of
Sunday.
stuff, guys. Tinley Park, it's where it's at. With that, can I get a motion to close the plan commission meeting? Okay, motion by, is there a second? I heard, motion made by Commissioner Sepisi, seconded by Commissioner Martinez. That's it, we're over, adjourned at 8:24 PM Central Time. Have a good weekend, guys.